Biangama ya bana na Nzambe, sans définition ni condition. Merci Seigneur, merci. Okati ya butunga na yoki mongongo ekobenga ngai. Nakeko tuna Eli abengi te. Nalali lisusu na yoki mongongo ekobenga ngai. Nakeko tuna Eli abengi te. Nalali makasi na yoki lisusu mongongo ekobenga ngai. Nakeko tuna Elia ayandolie. Wana soki oyoki lisusu mongongo ekobenga yo. Bimaboye lobanga mosali na yo nakoyoka bolamo na yo na bomoi na ngai. Esengo na yo kimia na ngai. Nakati ya boloko kuna nazalaki. Otindi bangelu po babimisa ngai. Moibi na ekulusu azwaki ngolu. Lote na Sodome pe azwaki ngolu. Bisika ya kokufa ngai nazalaki. Okangolinga na bengami mosali na yo. Vina ngai moto akakola te. Pona yebi ye yozali na nga. Héritage ya kotikela famille de Yesu. Kolona ngai mwana na Nzambe. Naebaki yango te o Yesu Nzambe na ngai nyonso yozali o Yahweh. Naebaki yango te o Shiloh Yesu Masio nyonso yozali bomona nga moto akabola te. Na yo Yesu mwana na Nzambe. Nazalaki ya kokufa kolobikisi ngai. Opesi nga pema yango na yembeli yo. Sola zalaki koboma ba chrétien. Obengi Nzambe akomi apotre. Mama kachoki yango o Yahweh. Naebaki yango te o Shiloh Nzambe nalola nyonso yozali o Yahweh. Naebaki yango te o Yesu Nzambe na ngai nyonso ozali le messe chepeke oyo ezata na nzambe ezalaka nde boye okaka mama Olga na Canada kobosa na nzambe te pasta Mili Mumba Kalasha bakristu ya Kongo RDC Corps Christ.
Hello everyone, this is Victoria with Health Chat here. Today is Tuesday as usual, Health Chat, and yeah, I'm here with a very nice guest. I will let him to introduce himself, but today we are going to talk about our choices, either to rent or to buy a home for us. You know, many of us, we come from Africa, we have choices either to buy or to rent, and we are going to explore and get some more knowledge before you buy, if you're intending to buy or if you're planning to rent when you're still in Canada. And I have an amazing guest. He has been my mentor. He has been, like, honestly a mentor, a very nice guy. So my guest, you're most welcome.
Thank you. My name is Olayinka Brimo. I'm a financial planner, and at the same time I'm a mortgage broker. I've been in the financial services industry for the past 13 years, and today we'll be exploring the topic or talking about your choices. You could buy a house or you could rent a place. We believe that everybody needs a place to live, but it's up to us whether we buy a place of our own or we rent a place of our own. But what are the choices out there for you? That's what we'll be talking about this evening.
Thank you so much. Well, before we get into our serious discussion here, to be honest, I was, like, when I moved to Canada, I was a student renting, then, you know, moved to Winnipeg, moved from my brother's place to rent. But you know what, in the rental apartments, I don't know how the apartments operate though. I was there before, way back more than 10 years ago. Like, if I could play music or pray, you know, my neighbor could just bang my window, not my window, my wall, boom, 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 boom. I couldn't even play loud. I couldn't even play my music, you know, loud. I was always so scared. So then one day I was like, you know what, I need my peace. I need where I'm going to stay. You know, if I can pay some money that I can rent, I can get affordable house, I can just get it and move into my little place so that I can praise God. I can, you know, jump or yell and all that. So when I got the little mortgage of mine, I was so happy living in there. Have friends to come. They come and they go the time they want. Maybe it's one of the things you're planning to do, or you're already doing it, or maybe you want to rent. Like, the choice is yours, but all we want to explore together on Health Chat is, you know, everything you buy, either it will cause you stress, depression, and then you end up giving it up, or it will bring you happiness and you bring your family in it, and then your family will inherit, or it will be a kind of saving. So, not wasting any time, just going to ask my my guest, like, just to tell us a little bit about mortgage. You know, like, how does mortgage operate, and what do we need really to put in place if you want to buy a house in 2 years' time, 1 year's time, all those things. You know, he's expert in this. Probably he has some good advice for us.
Okay, you know, when you're renting in Canada, you have to be mindful of the neighbors, for sure. You have to show them respect, and you can't just make noise and distract and disturb people. One can actually get evicted from living in a place if one is noisy and one is unruly. So you have to when you're renting, please, it's good to understand what are the rights of you as a tenant, and what are the rights of your landlord as well. Understanding the relationship or the right or the privilege of both of them actually help you to navigate the process, and it help you to understand your choices better. Talking about mortgage is an instrument whereby you take a loan from a financial institution and use a house as a collateral, or use a real estate property as a collateral. Because you could take a mortgage on a commercial space, you could take a mortgage on land. So you use the real estate interest as a collateral in the case of mortgage, when you are actually buying a property.
Okay, so for example, if you want to buy a mortgage,
yeah,
what kind of steps do you want to be mindful of? Because you can't just wake up early in the morning, I'm going to buy a mortgage. So what are the steps really? As immigrant, even if I have a house, I'm still learning, right? Maybe I will move in the next few years, but I don't know. But I just want to know more. What is the right way for me to do it?
Right. I mean, things that are associated with mortgage. Number one is the fact that you need a down payment. So you need to pay a certain amount of money down. Today, people have to pay at least 5% down payment to get a mortgage. You need to have income. You need to know, the lender needs to know that you have the capability to be able to pay the mortgage going forward. So, like I mentioned the other time, a mortgage is a loan. So, the lender actually extending a loan to you, they need to be sure that tomorrow you have the means of being able to pay that loan, and that means is a job. That means is a source of income. It may not be from a job. Some people have income in form of business. Some people have income that is from business. Some people have business. They have income from government transfer, like pension, like gratitude, like child tax benefit. Those are part of people's income, as the case may be. And another thing when it comes to mortgage that is of importance is the real estate itself. You need to find a house. I'm going to get a mortgage. I need a house in order to be able to get a mortgage. So if I may say it in 3 steps, I will say, first of all, you need to have some money, down payment. You need to have income. So because before you can save, you need to have income. And the third thing, you need to have a house. You need to have something that is of interest that you are buying.
All right. What about your credit? Because also, I think credit also counts, right?
It does.
If you have, even if you have like 20%, but your credit is bad, the lender cannot be able to give to you. Is it true? It's
true. Your credit speaks about your past ability in fulfilling your obligation. So, in a credit score, it's not what happened to most people today, but what has happened to them in the past. It could be immediate past, it could be past, but it has that capability to reflect on your character. So, again, when you walk to a lender, you're looking to get a mortgage, or you walk to somewhere like me as a mortgage broker, you're looking at getting a mortgage. In some cases, I don't know the kind of person that you are. I don't know where you are coming from. I need to know what the kind of person that you are. I need to know whether you've been able to pay your mortgage you'll be able to pay your debt in the past. A mortgage is going to be the largest, or let me say, one of the largest loan or commitment most people will have in their life. So for a lender to extend a mortgage to individuals, they need to find out about their characters. Are they the kind of people that pay their debt obligation as of when due? Are they the kind of people that will never pay? So with the credit scores, it reflects that, and that is a means of determining your character.
Well, as we also heard from Mr. Brimo about our credit score, you know, if you are a young person out there who wants to buy a mortgage, we are not trying to make choices here. We just want you to be mindful of your credit score, because I find Canada, it's really very different. Even when it's $10 and your name has gone to credit bureau, that history will be there maybe for 7 years or more. I have been there. It's only $30. I've been there, not me, someone else. You know, I co-signed for someone, and then the person was unable to pay that commitment. You know, then I ended up being sent to credit bureau, and then after that, the history was in my financial record for 7 years. Although I pay my my credit card, I don't go past due date, but you know what? They always say, oh, you were once at credit bureau. So as immigrants, we just have to be really mindful about our credits, or co-signing things for friends. We just have to be really mindful, because it can be really very stressful. Once you have your name gone to credit bureau, it's going to be really tough to erase it in one day. Whether you're a millionaire or what, it's just going to be there for some period of time. So be mindful of co-signing. Be mindful whom you are co-signing to. Be mindful who you are helping. You know, some people in the past, I heard the stories, they co-signed for friends. At the end, the friends couldn't even pay. Then you are the one going to pay, just because you don't want your record to be ruined. You know, with this,
speaking on that, well, when you co-sign for people, you actually saying to the lender that if the person doesn't pay, you will pay. So it's an obligation on your part when you co-sign. It's not just you signing on the dotted line. When you co-sign, you are taking on a debt in principle. And if the main person that you co-sign for doesn't pay, the obligation is for you to pay. So please, if you go co-sign for anybody at all, make sure you know them very well. Just like the system use credit scores to determine your the borrower's characters, you should find a way to be sure that those are not the kind of people that today, because you are friendly, you could sign for them, but tomorrow you may not be friendly again, and they may just fall through the crack and they don't pay, and because they don't pay, it affects you. In the other flip, if you co-sign for somebody who pays their debt or they fulfill their obligation as of time, as of when due, I bet you it has a multiplier effect on your credit as well, because it looks like you are a good person to the credit bureau, to the system. That's what it's going to look like. But if you co-sign for somebody who will not pay or who will not fulfill the obligation, it looks like you are a bad person. So it's always good to understand what are the choices in co-signing. But most importantly, do not co-sign for people that you don't have solid relationship or you don't have a form of control over them.
all right. So without wasting too much time, how many types of mortgages are there in reality?
That's a very broad question. So I want to believe maybe you are asking for the two broad types of mortgage, like the fixed mortgage and the variable mortgage. Yeah. So a fixed mortgage, it's a mortgage that has a fixed amount, a certain amount of interest for a period of time. So if we say a fixed mortgage for 5 years, it means for the next 5 years, the interest rate will be the same. Yeah. A variable rate mortgage, it's a mortgage that use the prime rate the prime rate is the bank lending rate, and so the lender use the prime rate to determine your rate, and it goes up and down with the bank rate.
Okay, so if you want to buy a family home, which one will you advise a person like me can go to? I know we say the choices are yours.
Yeah, when it comes to whether you should go variable or you should go fixed, I think it depends on your understanding of the economics, and it depends on your risk profile as well. Some people are comfortable with variable rate because traditionally, when people, I mean, if you compare somebody on a 25 years variable rate versus somebody on a 25 years fixed rate, the person on the 25-year variable rate tend to pay less of interest than the person on the 25 years fixed rate. And the reason is simple. If the bank rate goes down when you have a mortgage and you're on variable rate, it affects your payment goes down. If the bank rate goes up, it affects your payment goes up. But with a fixed rate, you pay the same regardless of what happened. And like in the kind of environment that we are in right now, people with variable rate mortgage, they've seen their mortgage payment gone down significantly. But people with fixed rate mortgages, they've seen their mortgages payment constant, even with the low interest rate environment, in the low interest rate environment that we are in right now. So when people are buying a family home, it's good to look at, do they want stability, predictability of payment? Because when you want predictability of payment, you want to be sure that I'm not going to pay more than this amount of money every month. Or do they want to pay the lowest month possible? So it does not matter, in my own opinion. The choice is yours. If you are comfortable with rising rate or fluctuating rate, fluctuating payment, or rising payment in the future, then you may go for variable rate mortgage. But if you are the type that just want everything to be on budget and everything to be in line, then you may want to take a fixed rate mortgage. But in the end though, the choices are that of an individual.
Okay. One quick question though. Even if you're on variable or fixed rate, right? But you have a choice in between. There, you can pay your mortgage off. If you have money, you can pay your mortgage off. Is it 25% yearly? Then that can be also an option, right?
Yeah, 15 to 20% are the most common prepayment privileges. So most institutions allow you to pay your to have a prepayment privilege, meaning that you can pay over and above what you're paying for your mortgage, that percentage. 15% or 20% are the most common one, but it doesn't mean that a mortgage covenant cannot contain less or higher. But the most common ones in the market are 15 to 20% prepayment privilege.
So won't you be able to catch up with the variable rate if you're on that kind of mortgage, like fixed and variable?
No. Prepayment is just you paying your mortgage down faster or pay more of your principal down. So take for example, somebody take a mortgage of $100,000 in a today, and he has prepayment privilege of 20%. So their mortgage payment every month is $650. So they pay the $650 every month, but they still have that 20% of the 100,000 that they can pay in the year one without any penalty. So they could decide, they could turn around and pay 20,000 down of their principal, and because they do that, it could have effect on the amount of mortgage they pay monthly, because they are no longer owing 100,000, they are owing 80,000. Does that answer the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that is really a good thing to know before you even start planning to save for your mortgage. And also another important thing is, you know, as immigrants, sometimes I personally, although I understand English, But because of the terminology and all this, you know, everything in Canada is specialized, right? I don't know the terminology of buying the house and the interest rate and all those things. Sometimes it doesn't click, you know. Before you even choose to go and buy a house, just make sure you get yourself someone who can walk you through, someone who is really honest with you, who can advise you on an honest idea how to buy a house, where to buy, and you know, all those small questions, so that when you get your house, you will not be stressed, you will not be depressed, you will not be able to say, you know, I made a bad choice, I wish I didn't. You know, when it reaches to the point you will say, I wish I did not, that means that you are stressed out about something. Maybe you are not happy. Then stress will kick in. Then you just have to be in that house just because you are, you know, you are obligated to stay there, right? You can't do anything for it. You can sell after 5 years, not after 1 year of buying. So as newcomers or new immigrants to this country, you know what, we just have to make sure that we get right information before we do anything financially, like a big commitment financially, let me say, like buying a mortgage, taking a loan. You just have to find someone who you can talk to. I know these days we have a lot of mortgage brokers who are from Africa. You know what, if you're not comfortable with other nationalities, you can come to your people in Africa just to advise you. You know, sometimes you can find information from 2 or 3 different people before you settle in for someone. So that will give you an idea to compare the informations that you get from 2 different people or 3 different people. Then you can make your own decision, right? Yeah. So as immigrants, I know I have, you know, in this country, I have learned things in a very, very hard way, very hard way. That's why when we started this health chat, you know, we want to pass information out there to people to know before they buy. We want to educate people. We don't want to we are not like making decision or forcing people to listen to it, but we want to educate so that you don't fall in some traps that I did. You know, I just want to share this. I bought a house. I was just excited about buying a house, and I bought that house, you know. After some times, there was so many issues. It was cheap, very cheap, right? And it was not high, and I was like, well, yeah, I got my rental property, I bought it. So what happened as the year goes by, things started breaking down and all that, and actually I spent a lot of money in fixing the house. And then I regretted why I even in the first place I did not contact my friend here. When I told him, he was so pissed off. He was like, you know what, I'm not helping you. Make sure that you fix your own self, you fix your own mess. You know, of course I was so stressed. You know, I was so stressed. I did not like the house. Of course, I can't sell it. Of course, you know, it was really heartbreaking for me. It was cheap. It was in kind of a good location. I was so happy. I was like, okay, I'm going to have source of income coming in monthly. But that wasn't the case. So even as we are preparing to share more about mortgages, you can send questions, like questions, how to buy a mortgage, what to look for, how to look for a mortgage breaker and all that. You can just let us know. Even as we continue to share about mortgage, you know, we African, before I go any further, yeah, we African, we like house really big, right? Very big house, 7 bedrooms, 8 bedrooms, very big, and we buy all these sorts of things inside. And you know what? Bigger house has big property tax, right? Big problem. Yeah, and a big problem too. So I just want to ask my guest here to advise us what to do if you're a first-time buyer. because he has the knowledge, he will give us some ideas or some few things that we can be mindful of.
You talked about terminologies. I think it's good to throw it out there, some common terminologies associated with mortgage that could be confusing to a first-time home buyer. One of them is interest rate. Interest rate means the percentage that of the money you borrow that you have to pay yearly as cost of borrowing. So that is the reward that the lender gets from you for giving you the privilege to have their money to use to buy your property. So again, the lower the interest rate, the lower the cost of your borrowing. The higher the interest rate, the higher the cost of your borrowing. Another term is that I would like to talk about, another terminologies is that I would like to talk about is term. So now people are used to 5 years term. So many people in Canada think it's only 5 years mortgages that have there. There are different types of term of mortgages. There could be 6 months, there could be 1 year, there could be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 7 years, 10 years. In the US, we have 30 years term mortgages. So you could have different term of a loan. A term means the time that you have the loan to the time that you can review it if you have to. So in the case of a 5 years mortgage, what it means is for the next 5 years, your term is the same. After 5 years or in 5 years time, I can decide to review it. So if I'm not happy with my present lender, I can move to another lender. If I'm happy with them, we can renegotiate the term of the mortgage as well. That's what the term means. Amortization means for how long do I want to pay this debt. So common amortization in Canada, again, is 25 years. But however, we have as low as 5, 10 years amortization. We have 15 years amortization. We have 20 years amortization. 30 years amortization was common. It's still a bit common in some parts of the country right now. So amortization is the length of time you hope to pay off the total money. Then they talk about mortgagee. Mortgagee is the person that is taking a mortgage. They talk about mortgagor. That is the institution lending you the money. Which other term out there? I'm trying to think about the common terms. Okay, but to go back to your question. Your question is, what would be? I mean, whether people should buy a big house or they should buy a small house.
Yeah.
I think the most appropriate house is the one that fits into your budget. Honestly, people talk about big house. People talk about small house. I've seen 2-bedroom house that are worth more than 2.5 million in this country. In the city of Winnipeg, where we live right now, there's a condo on the market for about $1.8 million, and it's just 3-bedroom condo, 2 bathroom. So, and you find some houses that have 6-bedroom that doesn't even worth more than 100,000. So, the number of bedroom has nothing to do with the value of a property. The size of a house has nothing to do with the value of a property. The most important thing when people are buying a house or when they are considering and buying a house is location. It's the key. Where did I see myself living? Where do I want to live in? Where is close to work? Where is close to school? Where is peaceful? Where is close to my friends? Where is conducive for my lifestyle? That should be the priority in choosing where to buy or what to buy. And when it comes to what to buy, the size of the mortgage, please, it's so important for people not to overstretch themselves. There are 2 basic ratios in determining qualification for mortgage. One of them is total debt service, TDS, and the other one is the GDS. GDS just consider your principal, interest, and tax on the property that you are buying. While TDS take into consideration your overall debt. talking about your credit card, your student loan, your car loan, whatever loan you have, TDS talk about it. But having said that, there are still so many expenses that the mortgage system does not consider in qualifying you. One of them is your child tax expenses. If you have kids that go to daycare, that could be pricey. We know how much people have to pay for child care in Canada. He doesn't consider you wanting to eat your African food. African food can be very expensive also. He doesn't consider how much you spend on grocery in your house. He does not even consider how much you pay for cable or whether you don't pay for cable. He doesn't consider how much money you have to send to family members in Africa to sustain their lifestyle over there. He doesn't consider how much you have to spend on clothes that you buy to keep the facade of being the fashion mogul. He doesn't consider all those things. And so when people are trying to buy a house, it's very good for them to be honest with themselves and look at what is my consumption like, what is my lifestyle like. Am I willing to make this sacrifice, that sacrifice? If you are not willing to pay that sacrifice, how much can we actually pay as mortgage monthly? And that should determine the type of property they should buy in the end.
Okay. Talking about the location and yeah, the location. I noticed that some locations in Winnipeg here, they're really pricey in terms of property tax, you know, and some places the property tax are really cheap. So does that also affect you getting a mortgage?
Yeah, I think when it comes to property tax, it's because of the school divisions. So it's unfortunate in Manitoba, we have to pay the school taxes with our property tax. And I bet you it's almost 50% of what we pay per house in Winnipeg. I believe with the recent announced change or the recent process where they are thinking of putting all the school division together in one, I think that will smoothen things out, because we now probably have only one school division controlling only one centralized school tax midpoint that they will have to use for all properties in Winnipeg. And that may smoothen that differences of what each school division charge. But I believe property tax is one of the costs that people have to pay to maintain their property. And it does not matter whether you have a mortgage or you don't have a mortgage. A property tax, it belongs to the municipal. It's the city of Winnipeg in this location that collects property tax. And I always also like to let people understand that the city has the overriding right on your property, despite the fact that they don't lend you the money. So if you have a house and you pay your mortgage monthly, you pay your insurance every time as of when due, but you decide not to pay your property tax, the city could auction that house in order to recuperate their property tax that you haven't paid, despite the fact that they did not lend you the money to buy the house. So many lenders, actually in some cases, especially when people are paying less than 20% down payment, many lenders want to be the one that collect property tax on behalf from the borrower and pay the city directly. That way they make sure that the property tax are paid, and they make sure that the loan they extended to you are protected that way. So it's important that when people are choosing the kind of houses to buy, they should as well consider the property tax, and as well as what is the age of the property they are buying, what kind of heating system in the house, how much will it cost to heat the house, especially in the cold weather. We are lucky in Manitoba because we have the Manitoba Hydro program. So again, people should be aware of that they have that kind of option in order to upgrade their insulation in their house. I'd like to say this, as a financial planner, there's a rule of thumb when it comes to how much should people shed out for a house when they are buying a house? So what we use is their income. So if for someone who is making 50,000, we think that kind of family should, if their family income is $50,000, we think that kind of family should not live in a house that worth more than 150,000. 150,000 should be the rule of thumb, which is 3 times the income. For a family that's making 100,000, they should be considering maximum of 300,000 for the value of a house. The reason is the fact that when they when they buy within that limit, it helps.
Okay. Well, as we all heard about how to plan to buy your new house, and before we're going to another new maybe subtopic, we're just going to take a quick break and we will be back shortly. Please do not go away, and yeah, we'll be back. Thank you.
Your friends are
please, everybody, stand and help me welcome Travis Green, everybody.
Bengi Nzambe akomi apôtre. Mama Katioki yango. Oyawe. Nayebaki yango te o. Chiloe. Nzambe nalola ye. Nyonso yozali ye. Nayebaki yango te o. Yesu Nzambe na ngai ye. Nyonso yozali ye. Le messe chebeke o ezata na Nzambe ezalaka ndebe. Okachi okaka.
Welcome back to our to where we left from. I have a question here just to ask our guests. What should people look for when they want to buy a house?
Okay, as it was mentioned before, the primary consideration in buying a house should be about location. Where is the house located? What are the amenities? What are the facilities located near the house? And how does it fit into our daily commute or our carbon footprint? It's important to consider that. And when you want to buy a house, should you buy a bungalow or should you buy a 2-story? Should you buy the one that has attached or detached garage? Should you buy the house that has no garage? I think those factors may have to do with the budget and the price tag of the properties as well. It's important to note that in today's environment, especially in Winnipeg where we live, you could find a house that is 2 million, 3 million in the same neighborhood that you could find a house that is no more than $400,000 or $350,000. So you don't need to break the bank to live in a particular neighborhood in today's Winnipeg, which is great. So you could have people of diverse income living in the same environment. So having said that, so if you're a kind of guy that want to have a garage, maybe because of what you do, maybe you are a handy guy, or you would like to collect some stuff that you like to store in the garage, then I think if a garage is important to you, then you should be looking at that. But it's so important that when people are buying property, that they involve like home inspectors and people that know how to spot defects on the property, because there are two types of defects on the property. There is latent and patent defect. So if I walk into a property right now and I see the window broken, or I see the shingle folded, old, it's something that I can see with my eyes. So I can say, you know what, are you changing this, or am I getting a discount because of this or that? That could be built into the negotiation of buying the property. But there are some other defects that you can actually not see with your eyes. Things like crack in foundation, things like faulty electrical wiring in the ceiling behind the wall. You can't see those things with your eyes. So sometimes when you buy some properties, sometimes properties do go through litigation because some of those things are not disclosed. In Manitoba, we are privileged that we have a law that when you are buying a property, the seller should disclose the condition of the property to you before you buy it. They call it property disclosure statement, which is great. But even with that, some sellers, couple of sellers especially, do not disclose the condition of the property. So when you buy a property, first thing to look for are the condition, the physical condition of the property. Get an home inspector if you have to. An home inspector costs you about $350 to $400, but they could save you more than $40,000 if they help you to identify problem before you sign the dotted lines.
Okay. So having said that, if you cannot afford to bring home inspector, what should you do?
I think you should rely on the people that, again, if you use a real estate agent, you probably have a professional that is working with you, because a real estate agent has more has experience about home buying process, and he probably will have seen so many houses. So when people are buying houses, especially for the first time, I recommend that they avoid the private sales and they go for they use a real estate agent if they don't have anybody in their corner. But if they have community members, they have friends that have bought properties and have owned properties before, that could help them through the process as well. I think it's good to have somebody in your corner that can fight for you when you are buying, or that can advise you. And I like to throw this thing out there. When you are buying property, you actually don't pay the real estate commission. So do not be afraid, because you don't pay the commission. It's the seller that pays the commission. So you have nothing to lose when you are buying a real estate. Whether you buy from private sales or not, it does not affect the final what you pay finally.
Okay. So, what are the advantages of owning your home? Whether it's new, whether it's $1 million, whether it's 100,000, or whether it's 20,000. What are the advantages? Because sometimes I find myself, okay, I want to own this home just because I see other people are living in nice homes and all that. But sometimes financially I cannot, right? So what are the disadvantages and what are the advantages? Because if I know the advantages of living in my own house, then I can have the drive of buying that kind of a house. So what are the advantages?
I think the most significant advantage of actually owning a real estate or buying a house is stability or predictability of expenses. When you're renting a house, the landlord could decide to evict you for you breaking their rules, which is likely, or for wanting to use the real estate, or they could decide to not replace the real estate or not maintain the real estate if there is a maintenance issue that could force you to want to leave the particular environment. So when you own a house, I think it provided a bit of stability in your day-to-day life. Number one. Number two, when you own a real estate, you borrow money, like we talked about mortgage in the first time. You end up paying the mortgage every month or paying the debt down month by month. And let's say typically over 25 years, you will finish paying that mortgage one day, and but month by month that you're paying that mortgage, that you're paying that bill, you are building what we call equity, which is your share of the house that you are building it up gradually. Another thing is the fact that when you own real estate, you are like another business person, because you have an asset that is out there in the market that has a market value that could be bought, that could be sold. So you have an asset that is in demand. So somebody really wants your property. I think I was talking to somebody today. He bought a piece of real estate about 3 years ago. I was involved in getting him financing, and it was a second home for him. He bought it for $180,000, and he was telling me today that he got an offer. Somebody wanted to buy from him, and the person was willing to pay $240,000, but he turned it down. And I advised him that, well, it's up to him whether if he sells, what does he do with the money. But I think if you hold the property, because it's in a very good neighborhood, but old property in a good neighborhood. So we talked about what are the options he has on the property in future, but the choices are his eventually.
Nice. Another thing is sometimes we go for big mortgage, right? 500, 600. What are the...
If you can afford it.
Yeah, you can afford it.
If you can.
But you know, sometimes life is not easy, right? Things happen, unexpected happens. What happens now, for example, if you become sick and you are not able to pay that mortgage, what happens? And how many months will the bank give you as a grace period?
Well, God forbid you find yourself in a situation that you cannot pay your mortgage. I guess the first thing to do is actually to talk to your lender and let them understand this is my situation. First of all, talk to your lender. Let them understand your situation. But having said that, before you buy a real estate, please, there is in everybody's financial plan, there is place for what we call emergency fund. It's so crucial for every adult to have a certain amount of money in reserve. That emergency fund, it's the kind of fund that you use in case of something like this happen. Oh, I fall sick, I cannot work. I lose my job, I cannot work. Or anything happens to you that make you not to have that income. If you have emergency fund, it helps you to be able to pay for your bill in the short term. It is recommended that you should have between 6 to 9 month equivalent of your expenses in emergency fund. In the past, we used to talk about 3 months, but in today's world, realistically, it's between 6 to 12 months actually, because the more you have in emergency fund, the more stable you become financially.
Well, okay, this also has brought us to a question that, you know, with this condition now we are living, we have used all our savings because of the pandemic, right? What are the other ways that can help us in terms of when we are sick we can't pay, what are some other resources there that you can at least let us know about it?
Well, I think it's so important when people are buying real estate. They should view it as part and parcel of a holistic financial plan. It's not, it doesn't occur in isolation, it doesn't occur on its own. It should be part of your total financial plan. Okay, so when you buy real estate, or whether you buy real estate or not, it's important to have some type of insurance. One of them is life insurance. What happened to me if I die? What happened to my family? What becomes of the people that depend on me financially if tomorrow I drop dead? A dead person cannot make money. A dead person does not have income. So it's important that I have life insurance to protect those people that depend on me financially. Again, when people buy a house, what they do in most cases is that they take their family, they introduce them to a new way of, a new standard of living, and but it's at a cost. So if something were to happen to them, the family may not be able to maintain that standard of living because of financial pressure. So, but if having an insurance could protect that kind of situation. And again, it's important to have a critical illness insurance. What about today? Tomorrow I fall sick, or I have any of the illnesses that the critical illness insurance cover. What happened to me? Did I have to sell my house in order to look after myself? It's important to have disability insurance. Disability insurance protects you whether you are sick or injured. It's kind of all these financial apparatus are to help us to insulate our financial security. So, but in the event that we don't have any of them, which is possible, and we don't have emergency fund, I recommend talk to your lender, and please, if you assess your situation and you see that, okay, you know what, there is no way out of this, or that you are not going to get another job immediately in case of job loss, please, I think it's better to sell. Don't be forced to sell.
Okay. So yeah, about insurance, right? Life insurance. Some financial institutions, they ask you to put a mortgage insurance on the mortgage. How does it work, and how is it helpful? Because I told you I have learned all these things in a hard way, you know, people telling me all sorts of things. That's why I just want,
Well, having an insurance on a mortgage is to insulate your family or your dependents, the people that depend on you financially, or the people that live in the house, other people that live in the house apart from you. So if I have a life insurance on myself, I'm indirectly protecting my wife and my kids. And I'm saying, if something were to happen to me today, I want them to be able to maintain their standard of living. Most people buy life insurance, or they buy mortgage insurance in order to protect their income, to replicate their income. A mortgage insurance or a life insurance, they do the same thing to a very big extent. Because if you have a mortgage insurance, it's protecting your mortgage, but that's where it stops. A life insurance protects your mortgage and protects every other thing that matters to you, including your kids' education, including paying for the heat in the house, including paying for bills, including paying for your spouse's retirement, and whatever you want, maybe legacy or whatever that is important to you. So having a life insurance is like more steps higher than just having a mortgage insurance. But I would like to reiterate the importance of either mortgage insurance or life insurance when we have a mortgage. It's not the best option for people to buy a house and not have any form of protection for their family, because if something were to happen to them, then the family may be caught in what we call a no man's land. And it's always good to mention that insurance, it's a financial instrument that you buy when you don't need them, because when you need them, you may not be able to get them again. your health is key when we are considering insurance. If your health change, in some situation you may not be able to get insurance, and in some situation you may have to pay through your nose in order to get just a tiny bit of insurance. So it's so much important that even before people start talking about buying a house or not, it's important for them to make sure that they protect what matters most to them. One question I ask people when I meet them most of the time, especially the first time, is I ask them, what do you think is the most important asset you have in life? I get different answers. You won't believe it. Some people will tell me their spouse. Some people will tell me, oh, I'm handsome, I'm good looking, I'm beautiful. Some people will tell me, oh, it's my income. Some people will tell me different things. Some people will tell me it's their kids. But whatever they say, I always come back to tell them, you know what? The most important asset you have, or that we all have, is our ability to earn income. If you cannot earn income, the life is not going to be what it is. But if that ability to earn income is taken away from me today, it's important to have a way to replicate or replace that income.
Wow, that is really good to know, because I know some of us, we buy homes, no insurance, no home insurance, no even personal insurance. But I think we just have to be careful what we are getting ourselves into, and then also we need to take some precautions so that, you know, it feels bad that you pay maybe 40,000 down, then you are sick, you cannot be able to pay, and then the bank will force you to sell it for maybe less than, you know, because the bank,
depending on the market value, on the market.
They don't care how much they sell and how much they will give back to you.
Yeah.
What they all want is just to get their money back.
Correct.
So as new immigrant in this country, we are learning a lot of things like in a very short period of time. So we just have to be careful. If you don't know anything, I love Canada because if you don't know something, you can get it if you ask. So be willing to ask, not necessarily buying a house or rent a house. You can do something out of the box. Just, you know what, I want to find out about insurance, about education, all those things you can find out before you put yourself into a big trouble, right? I know that we are almost close, but not really, I'm not sure. But there is a question about, will you be able to use your house as a source of income or retirement?
Yes. There's what we call reverse mortgage in today's world. So people in Canada over the years have been using their houses or real estate as source of their retirement income. So when they get to a certain age, traditionally seniors sell the house that they have and they move maybe to an apartment. We call it downsizing, and it's a very common term that people downsize, especially when you raise kids and they have left the house. Sometimes the house will feel too big for one or two persons alone to be living there. So people downsize, and when seniors sell their property, a lot of time they make some fortune from it, and they could use it as part of their down payment. Although as a financial planner, I do not encourage people to use their house only as source of their retirement plan, but it's a traditional way in this country. It's always still good to have some financial savings, to have some savings even when you are younger, and save here and there. A house can be complementary, but in the last few years, reverse mortgage is gaining traction. Reverse mortgage allows seniors to actually stay in their house without selling it, but instead of when you take a mortgage that you pay monthly, the financial institution actually pays you as a senior when you do a reverse mortgage. And when you die, they take the property, sell it, and take their money out, and they pay the family whatever that is, your beneficiary, whatever that is remaining. That's just the basic principle of a reverse mortgage.
Wow, what age is the reverse mortgage? Because I would love to do that.
I think that it's way too early for you to start thinking of
like
that.
what
right
age?
now.
Because I know we have some.
Traditionally, about 60, 65, when people get to the retirement age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and again, some lenders look at people's health as well. Health record could be important, but yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for our viewers out there. Thank you. I know our time is up. We still have a lot to talk about mortgage. Probably next Tuesday we'll be here. So prepare your questions and just send to through a television to Health Chat, or yeah, we can be able to answer the questions for you. And if you're intending to buy a house or rent or wherever, even rent, I think you need to find some information, because sometimes people or renters will give you a normal price. But if you know someone who is good in rental business, can be able to guide you and find you a good property. Don't be ashamed, don't be scared, or just, you know, if you have any questions, please, you can send it to through a television. And next week we will be back again talking about mortgages, because I know mortgage has a lot to be explored, right? Yeah. We have a lot of things to be talked about. We need more education. Even myself, I need education about mortgage. So our time is up. Please, next week, you can tune in at the same time. Then we'll be able to answer your questions. And thank you so much for our viewers, and thank you so much our guests, and thank you so much True Television for giving us this opportunity to educate our people, not only our immigrants, even other people, you know, in this country who may not get the access of this kind of training. And thank you so much for allowing us to be on your show. Thank you so much, Pastor Jerome, and God bless you. Bye. See you next Tuesday.
You are watching the True Word Television, spreading the true word of salvation.
Fais de moi un vase pour ta gloire, et que ma vie te plaise à jamais. Que chaque jour je demeure à tes pieds pour t'offrir ma vie en sacrifice, comme un parfum de bonne odeur qui s'offre à chaque instant, chaque heure. Tant que tu donnes le chant, je te donne mes louanges, je promets à chaque instant de te chanter avec les anges. Tant qu'il y aura la vie dans ce corps mortel, je ne cesserai pas de t'adorer. Tant que tu donnes